aren't jokes. These are thoughts. These are things that make you say, this may seem terrible, but my God, I didn't know you were black.
You all see how long I've been on YouTube. No one has been more resilient, pushing more harder on YouTube than I have. Like I must add, Brother Angel Snubnub 7, Brother Taalik Ibn'rad. Many of you all have not heard of him, and it's a reason for that you haven't heard of brothers like that who's coming with a profound message. Every day this brother does like an hour dissertation on YouTube, but no one's hearing him. His message is not getting out. Powerful message, more powerful than most messages that are out there. Very real, very radical, very sincere, very diligent, very consistent, and very little hypocrisy in what he speaks. At least he's true and sincere about what he's talking about. He's not doing it for money, selling no projects, selling no products, trying to do lectures. He's actually coming on there, offering some critical thought and critical analysis every day consistently, but most people have not heard of him. Not because he's lazy. I see him. He got thousands of YouTube pages. I see him constantly putting out videos, but you haven't heard of him. That's by design. That's by design of white supremacy. That's because you all want to hear the popular message and not the real and raw message. And YouTube makes sure of that. They make sure that they can constantly stomp out your Messiah. They let the Messiah get further enough just for you to hear who the Messiahs are. And as soon as you hear them, bam, they cut off. Damn, job well done.
By Brother Angel Snubnub 7 at the Reality Temple. And to give props to him, because I listened to all of Angel Snubnub 7's videos, I think that he comes from a different angle. And there's a powerful message in a lot of the videos that he put out, and I try to catch all of them. I look at him as a free thinker and a person that's willing to challenge those of which he don't agree with or which he may think differently from, and I really respect him for that. He's challenged KNBS, and he has also challenged the black supremacy movement as well. And I have nothing against that, because that which cannot be challenged cannot stand and will not stand and will not survive the test of time. How many challenges we can withstand will determine how long we will be able to stand.
"149 years ago, on July 3rd, 1859, John Brown arrived in Harper's Ferry, Virginia, present-day West Virginia, to prepare for the raid. In the months before the raid, he gathered 21 men, including 16 whites and 5 blacks, ranging from the age of 21 to 49. On October 16th, 1859, John Brown led 19 men to the Harper's Ferry Armory. 3 men were left behind as rear guards. They attacked the armory, which held 100,000 muskets and rifles. Brown's plan was to seize control of the armory and steal the guns to arm local slaves. He hoped that this would encourage them to rebel against their owners so that they could be free. After 2 days of siege, the U.S. Marines came to Harper's Ferry and agreed that if Brown surrendered, he and his men's lives would be spared. He replied, "No, I prefer to die here," and refused to surrender. Using sledgehammers and a makeshift battering ram, they broke down the engine room door. He and his men were captured and prosecuted from October 27th to November 2nd at the Charlestown Courthouse, Charlestown, Virginia, present-day West Virginia. Brown was found guilty on all 3 accounts: murdering of 4 whites and blacks, conspiracy with slaves to rebel, and treason against Virginia. John Brown was hanged in public on December 2nd in a field half a mile away from the courthouse, which is east of present-day 515 South Samuel Street, Charlestown, West Virginia. The following people were killed or injured from the results of the raid: John Anderson, Jeremiah Goldsmith Anderson, John Henry Kagi, Lewis Sheridan Leary, William H. Lehman, Dangerfield Newby, Stuart Taylor, Dauphin Thompson, and William Thompson. The following people were hanged in 1859 following the raid: John Brown, John E. Cook, John Anthony Copeland Jr., Edwin Copac, Shields Emperor Green. The following people were hanged in 1860: Albert Hetzel and Aaron D. Stevens.
I would like to remind you of this clip that I've shown right before I make my own appearance here. And of course, this is the Reality's Temple on Earth Internet Ministry. I am the host, Angel Snupnup 7. The clip that I've just shown us is a very brief history lesson speaking about John Brown and the raid at Harper's Ferry. And this was in 1859. And I want to remind us that what we know of as slavery was full in effect. And of course we know in 1859, a black man, woman, or child could be easily lynched outright for no reason at any time. But here we have a Caucasian man, a pink man, that decided, along with members of his family and friends, that they would stand up against this lifestyle called slavery. It was a lifestyle, a way of life. Silly and ignorant, self-righteous, pro-black people would come to us after reviewing this video, and they might say to me, or they might say to you, that I am defending John Brown. Why would a black man want to defend this Caucasian pink man from 1859? I do not have to defend Mr. Brown. The actions of John Brown and those who participated in this raid of this armory in Harper's Ferry, it speaks for itself. It is true that the pink Caucasian people, under this institution, under this system that we call Caucasian or pink supremacy, they have been conditioned, so many of them have been conditioned to view us as an inferior. Thus, they supported a lifestyle we know of as slavery. However, there are always exceptions to the rule. And there was always a minority. In fact, in any evil or wicked situation, there are always a minority of persons who refuse to participate if they can. But let me tell y'all something. The reason why black folks were slaves, and the reason why we still suffer and have a slave mentality, is because of fear. And the reason why you pro-black, self-righteous folks don't do what you need to do is because of your fear. So there are Caucasian people, don't you know, if you help a slave, if you look favorable upon slave, they will call you a nigger lover. And don't you know that they would hang a Caucasian person for trying to be nice or showing humanity towards a slave or a black person in this type of society? So even today, there are many people who know what the United States government does is evil and wicked, but they are afraid, just like you are afraid. But then there were people like John Brown, unlike you. He decided to speak out because he said that his Bible told him that his God looked and frowned upon this institution called slavery. John Brown was against racism. John Brown was against this evil. So if you have any kind of character, if there is any type of honesty in your body, and if you truly stand for freedom, justice, and equality, how can you not, regardless to this man's skin color, how can you not give him and acknowledge him for standing up for what was right? And he paid with it with his life. If not for a few minority of Caucasian people in this country, don't you know that slavery actually would even be worse, and what we call freedom would be null and void? I'm very sure, even in our personal lives, and I know that I can, so I'm sure many of you also could, regardless to the evil Caucasian people might have done, as a people under this conditioning, there are Caucasian people who have done something for you to make your suffering less painful by the offering of their help. John Brown paid for his actions with his life. So the question that I raise, and you would raise, why did John Brown do it? Some of you said, forget John Brown. You can do that, because he had a questionable agenda. We don't know what was really going on, or what the questionable agenda might have been, but what we do know is that John Brown decided to try to arm slaves, and he ended up hung over it. And he showed no remorse for it. They told John Brown, if you plead insanity, maybe that can save you from the noose. And John Brown said, I would rather die. I'm not insane, because this institution of slavery was wrong. And he stood on that till that noose tightened. Y'all said, forget John Brown. But at the same time, you praise Harriet Tubman. But from my study of Harriet Tubman, the sister, the Black Moses, the one who led the Underground Railroad that would not have worked successfully without Caucasian people being involved. She said that John Brown was one of her best friends. So how come John Brown, during that particular time, was her best friend, but yet and still you frown your nose up at John Brown? What was the benefit to John Brown for doing what he done? There was no benefit. He wasn't trying to sleep with black women. He wasn't asking nothing from these slaves. John Brown, it seems, simply was standing up for what he knew and viewed and believed was right. And what John Brown decided to do was pick up arms, take over an armory. Some of y'all said, oh, the Caucasian people, we don't have any guns or anything. John Brown didn't have any guns. So he went where the guns was at, took over an armory. But the slaves did not want to rise. Here you are talking all this black power stuff. There are army depots all over this country. I don't see none of you, and none of you after 100 years after Garvey, none of you have decided to take over an armory like John Brown to arm the slaves. John Brown did not care nothing about voting. John Brown did not care nothing about, oh, let's make a black business. John Brown did not care nothing about CDs and DVDs and let's debate the slave owners. John Brown said, let's pick up the gun. Let's do this. So here you are, black power family, all these debates. Let's make a business. That's what you say. Let's sell some CDs and let's have a debate and DVDs. But you have the nerve to talk about a man that took up a gun, not for himself, trying to free slaves. The same slave that you claim are your ancestors. But your ancestors was cowards. The white man put a gun and wanted to put a gun in your ancestors' hand, and they refused. Very few of them. You could probably count them on your hand, on your fingers. Decided to pick up a gun. And you refuse to do the same thing. You just as cowardly because you are their children. I would rather have the spirit of a white man in this case, rather than these cowards that did not want to fight for their own freedom. And you surely don't want to fight for your freedom because you drive a Mercedes-Benz. You got your doctorate, your bachelor's degree. You live comfortable. You a comfortable Negro slave. You have debates. You ain't never suffered. You don't fear nothing. You scared to die. You scared of the noose. But you have the nerve to make mockery and talk about, I wonder, what is the motive of John Brown? What is your motive? That's the question. What is your motive? I don't see you taking over no armories. I don't see you doing anything except clowning. And you fake. That's why our people don't gravitate and look at black power as a joke. You're not serious. And I don't take you serious either. So whether you like it or not, and I will debate you tooth and nail over this, and you will lose. Because I'd rather stand with a white man, a pink man, that stand up and stood for something that is right, rather than you guys that claim that you know right but won't stand, just run your damn mouth. In the name of my ancestors, peace forever and always, and welcome to another, I hope to be rather exciting and controversial edition of the Reality's Temple on Earth Internet Ministry. Of course, I am the gatekeeper or the host of this particular program, known here on the World Wide Web as the mighty Angel Snupnup 7, your brother and hopefully your friend Taalik Ibn'rad. Racism, as many of us know and we will acknowledge, racism has become and is, even at this time, one of the most deadliest mental illness of humanity. But what many of us, especially as black men, one illness that is far worse and has gone on much longer than racism is the oppression of women. That is an illness. To abuse a woman, to mistreat the woman, to abuse, exploit the mechanism that is the reason or the door that all of us came from, that has to be an illness. I was just listening to the news and I saw this Arab woman. She is protesting because she only wants to drive a car. I believe she is living in the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, something like that. I'm not familiar with a lot of these Arab countries. Maybe y'all Muslims can teach me a little something about this geography. But the only thing this lady, this woman, this female wants to do is drive a car, but it is against the law. It is against the societal norms in the United Arab Emirates that women cannot drive a car. And who denies her this? Men. Men created this law. Women had nothing to do with making a law that denied females the right to drive a car. How sad it is that you want to control people, all aspects of their life, and deny them independence to depend on others. To deprive somebody of their independence, to me, that's a crime. And that's a crime against humanity, to deny any human being the right, the ability, the opportunity to be independent. Racism is a deadly disease, but the oppression of women is one that many men can look over, because within the oppression of women, that favors the penis. But this has been going on for thousands of years, and many women are content and they are comfortable living in this type of corruption, just like being a black person, being a descendant of slaves born in America. We have become comfortable living in this racist society, and we follow Caucasian people everywhere and anywhere and do everything that they do. This corrupt relationship has been going on for so long. Black people among races and women among corrupt men. This has been going on for so long that this looks natural. This lifestyle of abuse is acceptable by the victim. So women accept the exploitation and the corruption of corrupt men, and black folks, we are comfortable and we accept the exploitation and the abuse that come from Caucasian pink races. When you think of polygamy, when you think of this lifestyle, most times it is one male with two or more females, and they are happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy. That's what it looks like on the outside. But in reality, it is never happy, happy, joy, joy when you are a victim, and this is nothing but more victimhood of women. It is very rare that you see a female with more than one man talk about, these are my husbands. You never see that. In fact, it is not even encouraged. It's always the one male, as you see here, and a lot of females, because they are victims and don't even know it. There is no benefit in this relationship for the woman. Just like there's no benefit living in a racist society for black people. It's the same thing. But the black man understands racism, but he does not understand the exploitation of female. There is no man, of course, but there is no woman in their right state of mind that wants to share a mate. If you have value in yourself, if you have value in yourself, you don't want to share your personal body with countless people. Those who share their bodies with countless people, y'all call them hoes. Y'all call them bitches and sluts, don't you? But why don't you do this when the person's supposed to be married? This is more trickology for the woman. So I'm married. So just like the races use biology, they use religion to justify their racism. Under a patriarchal society, patriarchal societal norms, it is the same thing. They use this false concept of marriage, biology, and religion to justify the exploitation of women, and the women go for it because it's justified. through science. It's justified through marriage. It's justified through biology. All these different things that men created. The women did not create the science of this marriage. The women did not have nothing to do with the biology or the religion. The men created all of it. Just like in racism, the Caucasian pink people use religion and science to justify that they are the superior people, to justify what they done to black people. And now we know that it is wrong. Well, we always knew we was the victim when we were in our right state of mind. Some of us, as long as they give us some trinkets, give us $1 million, give us a little this and that, it's all right being comfortable slaves. So now you have women in the same position with these corrupt men being comfortable slaves. There is no benefit to you. And you devalue yourself by accepting to share one nutcase with other women. Well, one of the popular reasons of why some of these males justify and they try to explain that this is a natural practice of polygamy. They said in Africa, first of all, you ain't lived in no Africa. You ain't been close to no Africa. Even so, you don't know the reasons why these Africans, whatever Africans these people were, you don't know why they do what they do. And it does not apply to you because you were not born in Africa. You just like the fact that you can sleep around and feel as though you righteous. Because under any ordinary religion, you be considered a fornicator and an adulterer. And in the old ancient days of the Bible, you would be put to death under certain religious teaching. Some religious teachings justify it. Again, religious teaching that was created by men. Under some African tribes, in certain situations, polygamy was practiced due to warfare. And a brother would take a brother who died in war, take his wife and children, and take care of them, and to make it look moral, take her in as a wife. This had nothing to do with sex. This had something to do because, first of all, the men did not allow women to work. The men did not allow women opportunity to take care of themselves. So if a woman in that society did not have a man, she was forced and could be used as a prostitute. And without men, you could not be a prostitute. All of it revolves around the exploitation of corrupt men. So a brother would take a sister in after her husband was killed in war and take her in as a husband so she would not be on the streets, because the men did not allow women to work, did not allow women to have opportunity to own land and so forth. The men, just like the racists do, the racists hindered the potential and the opportunity of black people, and men do the same thing to women, hinder their potential. The same thing. It is the same type of thing. The same thing that men do to women is the same thing what racists have done to the black people of this planet. And you are angry, and you are upset, and you said black power when it comes to dealing with the racists. But when women understand and realize that men have exploited them, abused them, raped them, and they said woman power, female power, the black woman is God, the black men stand up and they have a problem because they like, in a patriarchal society, they like that favoritism. So they know how. So now you understand why Caucasian people love the position they are in. They like the favoritism. They like the feeling of supremacy. And these black men, I'm the leader of the household. I'm a leader. They like that feeling of supremacy. They like the favoritism. I want me a son. I want me a son. Son is better than daughter. It's the same thing, except instead of skin color, now it's gender bias. That's what you see, and that's what we experience living in a patriarchal society. So of course this brother would smile, because all the benefits go to him. There is no benefit to these women. And in our minds, being a male, the more women we conquer, the more it makes us feel like a man. It's the same thing. Whoring around, it's the same thing. But now we justify it, whoring around, slutting around, fornication and adultery, because I can guarantee you, this brother, even in America, he does not have any marriage certificates. There's no evidence, there's no religion that will validate his so-called marriage. But we feel better. These are my wives. Then, of course, just like black folks, we justify our love for our abuser. And so these sisters who suffer from low self-esteem, and they accept these statistics. Oh, there ain't enough men, so let me go find me a clown that can exploit me, and I can feel better about myself. I just have to have some kind of penis going in and out of me. The women have turned into sex perverts. But I can justify my sexual perversion because I'm married. That's my husband. We are living in an environment of pure sickness. And you can try to justify all you want to, but in the end, you're going to lose, because it's nothing but exploitation. And you will never see another society. You will never get another nation or build nothing new as long as you hold on to injustice, this abuse and exploitation. In the name of my ancestors, peace forever and always, and welcome to another edition of the Reality's Temple on Earth Internet Ministry. Of course, I am the gatekeeper or the host of this particular program, known here on the World Wide Web as the mighty Angel Snub 7. I'm your brother and hopefully your friend, Taalik Ibn'rad. One of the first things that I had to learn in my life a long time ago, when I was facing a bully as a child, and being bullied is what has caused me to be the way that I am today. I do not like bullies. I don't like people who have great strength that use their strength against those that are helpless, those who are powerless. But as a victim of being bullied, I had to realize and face, as well as admit and confess to myself, when facing the bully, I had to admit that I was scared. I was afraid. There's nothing wrong, brothers and sisters, if you are afraid, if you suffer fear. There's nothing shameful about that. However, we cannot remain scared. we cannot remain afraid. Because not only do you fear the bully, not only do you fear this object, this person, but you have a fear of fear itself. What kind of life can we lead? What kind of life can we live? What type of an example can we show our children when our children know and they see their parents in fear? The first step to recovery. I've never been an alcoholic. I've never been a drug addict. But I do know that they have what you call Alcoholics Anonymous. And when you are in Alcoholics or Drug Anonymous, one of the first things that you have to do as a recovering alcoholic, as a recovering drug addict, you must admit and you must confess, you must acknowledge that indeed you are an alcoholic. Indeed that you are a drug addict. This is the first step on our road to recovery. So with that said, I am saying that although it is sad, it is nothing to brag about, but the reality in America, the black man, since the time of slavery till this day, we must admit, as American black men, we must admit that we are cowards. Not only that we are cowards, but we are incompetent. There are many who would get angry with these words. That is your problem. The first step to recovery is to acknowledge the truth that you are an alcoholic, that you are a drug addict, that you are a coward. Not only are you a coward, you are incompetent and you have failed the so-called black race as men. This is the reason why that black males, the black man in America, this is the reason why, the psychological reason why these men attack women is because the women remind them of their failure, remind them of their incompetence. And women reflect the condition of women reflect the type of protection that they receive from their men. The black woman of this country has received no protection. Nothing from this black man. And the women and children reflect a people who have no father. So yes, Tommy Sotomayor is correct. Black people in this country suffer from a fatherless America. So for so many of these black men, they decide we need to run to Caucasian women, Asian women, any woman except a black woman, because when we deal with a black woman, the black woman reminds the black man of his failure, of his incompetence, of his cowardice. You don't have to worry about a Caucasian woman or Asian woman or any woman outside of our blackness to talk about the problems of the black community. So you don't have to worry about, you don't have to hear that you have to stand up to be a black man. You don't have to look at your failure. You can talk about your failure and blame the black women and children for their own failure. Keep me out of it. I got me a good white woman at home. A good Hispanic, Mexican woman, whatever. As long as I don't have to deal with that black woman, because the black woman reminds me that I'm incompetent, I'm a coward, and a failure. and they brag about their Asian woman, but they really brag about that Caucasian woman. But then, at the same time, Caucasian women will sleep with almost anybody. That's their history. So what are you bragging about? We know that certain Caucasian women will even mess with dogs and elephants and horses. So they have Caucasian women rape black men during slavery. So what are you bragging about? But see, that's nothing but a facade. That's nothing but a shield. So that the black man don't have to face the reality that he's a coward and he's incompetent. And he is actually a living testimony to the fact that this racist black, not the racist Caucasian pink man, calls you an inferior. What does this black man do all day long? Play Xbox, play Nintendo, get drunk, get high, make babies. That's all you worth. Because you're a coward, you can't build nothing. The only thing you can do is talk, but you can't build and do anything. This American black male, you kill for Caucasian people, you kill for white folks, but you don't do nothing for yourself. You murder other black men. You kill other black men wholesale. Some of you still happy that black men murdered Malcolm X. This shows your sickness. You help white folks build this nation, but you won't do nothing to build for yourself. You happy because you got a job. Got a job to do what? Help somebody else build something. You don't build nothing for yourself. The first step to recovery is to acknowledge that you got a problem. You, black man, born in America, you suffer and you have a serious problem. Blaming a black woman is not going to negate you from your responsibility. That's why some of y'all turn gay. That's why some of y'all on the down low, you fall in love with other men. Oh man, I started to talk something nasty. But you turn into something trashy. You beg Caucasian people for their love. And you want to unify with Caucasian people. You want to love everybody. But you don't love yourself. You don't beg other black men for love. Not that kind of way. I ain't talking about the homosexual way. You don't beg black people for love. You don't beg black people for unity. But you want to unify and love everybody but yourself. The first step to recovery, you must confess and you must admit that you have a problem. What does this African spirituality, pro-black, Hebrew Israelite, Muslim, whatever y'all want to call yourself, what do they do? Stand around and talk all day long and pretend they are tough when you are a coward for real. Debate all day long. Sell your CDs, your DVDs. Basically all you do is kissing Caucasian people in their backside all day long. Because you ain't no threat. You ain't no threat because you're a coward. And you don't know. You want to be a leader, but you don't know what the hell you doing. And you got stupid women that's willing to follow you in hopes that one day you might grow up and be a man. And she's crazy. The only thing she wants is some sex. Get drunk. And she high on drugs too, just like your crazy ass. The first step to recovery is that you must admit that you have a problem. Running around pretending you tough. Running around here pretending you educated and intelligent and competent. That don't mean nothing. Nobody is impressed. by the American black man? Nobody. Even he's not impressed. Because you're confused. You don't even know what the hell you are. I'm a Muslim. I'm of Kemet. I'm of Egypt. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Moor. You so damn confused. You don't even know what the hell. I'm a New Wabian. Wobble, 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 wobble. You don't even know what the hell you are. You're so confused. And you think that somebody who is a coward, incompetent, and confused, you think somebody's supposed to follow you. I think not. The first step to recovery is that you must confess and you must admit that you have a problem. I am so shamed. I am shamed to be in the same category. But whether I like it or not, I am an American black male born here in this country. And I am surrounded by men, pathetic and pitiful, cowards and incompetent. They claim they are warriors. They claim they are gods. They claim they are soldiers. It's a bunch of bull crap. Bunch of bull doo-doo. I don't see it from nobody. I don't see it from the Hebrew Israelite nation. I don't see it from those who teaching African spirituality of Kemet and the Muslims. I don't see none of this. And then they make heroes out of people that shoot up naval bases and shoot up Los Angeles police cops or whatever. That don't have nothing to do with black power, has nothing to do with black liberation, just a bunch of dark European Negroes that's upset or just went nuts for some reason. Have nothing to do with our issues as a people. But you don't have the nerve to do what those crazy guys done. The first step to recovery is that you must admit, you must confess that you have a problem. Yes, I am an alcoholic. Yes, I am a drug addict. Yes, I am a coward and I am incompetent. But if you give me a chance, if I get into this class and rehab. Slaves made deaf, dumb, and blind, born in America. So you have so many of these. They've fallen in love with their massa. They suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome. And they run around scratching where they don't itch, trying to please their massa, trying to belong in a society that don't want you. But you're going to keep trying. It's going to get better. And we have been living here for over 400 years. And they have just recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington. And they admit and they confess things have not gotten better. After 50 years, after 100 years, why haven't things gotten better? Because the people that you are trying to be friendly with, the people of whom you're trying to force your love upon, don't love you. They don't want your love. They don't want you to be equal to them. That takes the fun out of it. If we become equal, who are we going to make fun of? Who are we going to feel superior over? So the YouTube Uncle Tom person, they would rather scratch where they don't itch. Because the Caucasian people, massa is in power. And they would listen to you, black man and woman. But you ain't nothing. You have no power. The only thing you do is talk. So they don't worry about what you saying. They would rather work with the racists. They have accepted their condition as slaves in this society. They might have a little money. They might have a little prestige, but yet and still they know that they are modern day slaves. They know they are unequal. Some of them are filled with self-hate. Why was I born black? Look what this blackness has done to me. And y'all tell them that they are filled with self-hatred. The problem with this is, what is self? And when we talk about learning self, it is confusing. We got those who teach Kemetic teachings, Hebrew Israelite, the Moors, Muslims. It's so much out here. So you're talking about, I've lost the knowledge of self. What is self? So for the average black person, it is confusing. Exactly what am I? And y'all argue and debate back and forth. But nobody really knows and nobody really can prove. So the Uncle Tom, the Sambo mentality, I'd rather just deal with what was put on my plate. I do know, whether I like it or not, I'm an American citizen. I'm tired of dealing with this identity crisis nonsense that these black power people come up with, because y'all so stupid. The Moors, the Muslims, Hebrew Israelites, all y'all black this and black that, y'all can't come together and sit down and create a brand new identity so everybody can understand this is who and what we are. So the Uncle Tom mentality would just rather say, look, I'm an American, and I'm just going to deal with what has been put on my plate. So they suffer from extreme trauma. And instead of trying to make an attempt at learning this identity, because y'all make it so confusing, then they would rather stay in love with their abuser, because there's nobody else to go to. When they look out for something else, it's too much. The YouTube Uncle Tom. Very intelligent men and women. Articulate people. And we underestimate their influence because this is where our people are at. It's easier to be a slave than a free person. And so the Uncle Tom YouTube person, they play to the side of us where we don't want to fight no more. It's easier just to say, okay, Massa, here I am. What you want me to do now? Who you want me to kill now? How much taxes you want me to pay? I don't care if I'm never equal to you. I have accepted that I was born a slave and I would die a slave. The YouTube Uncle Tom, the YouTube Uncle Ruckus type mentality, because they are sick and we are a sick people. They are attention seekers. Black people that's born in America, many of us, we color our hair, we change our face, we do much of the things that we do because we are attention seekers, because we know or we think or believe that we are nothing. I want you to notice me. So I noticed that the Uncle Tom, the YouTube persons on this media, I noticed whatever black power, black revolutionary, whatever a so-called pro-black person say, the Uncle Tom Sambo, they purposely, whether they believe it or not, they purposely say the opposite. Because they want that attention. They want you to talk about them. So let us talk about Tommy Sotomayor. Let us talk about Painless Risen. Let us talk about Fearless 2005. Let's talk about David Carroll. The Uncle Tom YouTube personality, they want that attention. Because as a people, we are attention seekers. We suffer from low self-esteem. They enjoy that attention, and I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for us because we accepted this slavery instead of trying to find a cure and building high self-esteem. real high self-esteem. Not negative esteem, because you know that you're going to get attention from people because of what you say, negative, opposite of what they say, or the attention that a woman gets because she wears some shorty shorts. A man lusting for your body, that's not the type of attention. Negative attention is not what you should want. You should want the attention because you are intelligent. You are articulate. But you're putting your power, you're putting all your effort in a direction, in a position where you're not going to be able to gain the respect that you justly deserve. I feel sorry for the YouTube Uncle Tom Sambo, because they must be careful what they say, not to upset Caucasian pink people. And what is ever so sad is that they do know the truth. They do know the truth, contrary to popular belief. Because if you notice, as long as they are comfortable, as long as everything is going right, they will talk their madness. But as soon as these Caucasian people do something to them personally, their whole conversation change. And that real Negro, because see, they know the reality of it, they know the truth. Then they start looking and hoping for a Farrakhan, for a Sarah Steady, a Polite, or an Angel Snub 7. Then they go looking for you when tragedy sets in. So they know better. But they don't want to do better because of fear. And most of these people really don't know what to do. Instead of feeling angry, we really should feel sorry.
My black people, it's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody moving me. Like the king, we make it plain and simple. Bringing knowledge and fire at reality's temple. Reality's temple. My black people, it's all about the unity. There's nothing they can do with us, so ain't nobody moving me. Like the king, we make it plain and simple. Bringing knowledge and fire at reality's temple.